good evening, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of Hill Beyond, an opportunity to learn about some of our alumni in different fields. I'm Zach Lehman. I'm the headmaster here at the Hill School, and I am coming to you live from campus. This is what we were looking at today. We had about a foot of snow here on campus, so there's a shot of the academic center, the old library, Ryan Library, with the snow coming down this morning. A look at the Victory Bell and across to the new Shirley Quadrivium Center. That was my best shot at artistic photos. And then there's Meg's house, our admissions office as well. So we're thrilled to have you joining us here tonight. And tonight's episode is titled Cheers to Entrepreneurship. And we're very fortunate to have two members of the class of 2011, classmates Allie Griswold and Connor Murdock. And I'm going to introduce them now and then ask them to join us. And if you're here tonight, we have alumni here, we have faculty and staff, we have some students joining us, we even have some prospective students joining us and families joining us tonight. So a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about Hill and life after Hill. So Allie Griswold, class of 2011. Allie is the Chief Executive Officer of Main & Company, a company which has created the modern mimosa by combining sustainability grown Italian wine and organic orange juice in a conveniently sized can. I'm not drinking it right now. As a student, Allie took advantage of all Hill had to offer. She challenged herself in the classroom and conquered some of the school's most demanding courses, earning numerous academic accolades. On the playing fields, Allie was a 4-year member of the girls' soccer team. And as a co-captain in her sixth form year, she helped lead the team to a 15-2 overall record in the Maple Championship. And she was a 3-year member of the girls' ice hockey team. Allie was a co-editor of The Record. And during the 2011 commencement ceremony, she received the Headmaster's Prize, given to a member of the sixth form for exemplary effort and sterling contribution to the life and work of the school. Pretty much nothing that Allie didn't do while she was here as a student. After graduating from the Hill, Allie attended the University of Virginia, where she studied marketing and finance, and she played on the university's polo, we're going to talk about that later maybe, and ice hockey teams. Upon finishing school, Allie started her career in strategy consulting at McKinsey & Company. No stranger to the entrepreneurial lifestyle, Allie went on to co-found Athena Club in 2017, a startup business that delivers women's self-care essentials straight to their door. Allie led Athena Club's company operations, product development, social impact, which led to recognition in Forbes 30 Under 30 class of 2019. Inspired by providing consumers with better options than they had before, Allie hopes to bring consumers joy and create new and delightful experiences with the launch of Main & Company. While Allie isn't busy working on Main & Company's brand strategy, operations, and finance, she can be found sampling and savoring champagne. I had to look up what exactly that meant, but maybe Allie will fill us in. Sailing or singing karaoke. There's a nice shot of the mimosa. I'm a little surprised that I wasn't sent one in preparation for this episode, but we'll work on that. And of course, we promise to embarrass all of our guest speakers. Here's Allie's some photographs from the Dial, our yearbook. There's Allie in her sixth form blazer, her portrait, her soccer team. Looks like Mario and Luigi for Halloween. And then that looks like a family picture, I hope. I hope that's not a third form picture there at the bottom. Connor Murdock, also a member of the class of 2011, made his mark in the CFTA as a Hill student, appearing in several plays as a member of the Ellis Theater Guild and lending his voice to the Hill Tones, our a cappella singing group. He also displayed a keen interest in video production and helped the school with several video projects during a time when producing eye-catching videos was becoming an increasingly popular and important tool for private schools. After Hill, Connor shipped off to Boston for school and entered the advertising video industry, working with creative films, agencies, and brands on their video and creative campaigns. Throughout his time in creative, he was heavily involved in the Boston startup community, setting out to solve some of the toughest problems in his industry. In 2019, he co-founded a tech startup called Coworkly that enables companies to work on creative advertising projects with top-notch vetted creative teams. He's a full-time founder, but loves working with Hill alumni in any way he can. He thoroughly enjoyed teaming up with Allie to help her build the brand and creative behind Main Company, a true testament to how strong Hill ties can be. And there he is, it looks like, in Paris, probably before the pandemic. So, of course, he gets some embarrassing pictures too. There you go. Some family pictures, some, looks like a CFTA picture and his sixth form portrait as well. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and ask Allie and Connor to join me on screen. Are you there? Or did you leave?
You're here, and we're not warned about the photos.
I did warn you about the photos. I said I would embarrass you just a little bit. It was only on the screen for a moment. And you guys look, pretty good in those pictures. You show, your true colors. It's great.
A nice piece of bread in my mouth, looking very professional.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was bread or some sort of fake.
Yeah, I think it's bread. Yeah.
Mr. Eccleston, who is my advisor, did text me a picture of the invite and say, "Who's this?" ? Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark.
Yes.
And I said, It has been 10 years since high school.
Yeah, well, you guys are scheduled for your 10th reunion. Of course, that's a big TBD right now with COVID, but we're hopeful. So I was talking to you both a little bit before the show. I think, Allie, you're coming to us live from sunny Los Angeles, and Connor, you're up there in Boston.
Not sunny.
Not so sunny. Well, you didn't get quite as much snow as we did here in Pennsylvania. Interestingly, we everyone always asks, do boarding schools have snow days? And in my time, we've given one snow day, believe it or not. We've had a few headmasters' holidays that have fallen on snow days, and that's sort of magical when that happens. But we did give one snow day. We caught a lot of grief from our alumni for doing so. They thought, at the boarding school, if you can get to campus, you should be able to have a snow day. So fortunately or unfortunately, we don't have many students here right now. We're in the middle of a low residency program for our winter varsity athletes. We have about 90 students on campus right now. So that wasn't even an option today. It was a nice, beautiful day to enjoy campus. And we did put those students to work shoveling. Did you ever have a chance to shovel snow when you were here as students? Did they ever put you to work?
Nope, that wasn't one of my was it work study? Is that still around? I think
campus service, yeah. We call it now, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was not one of my my services, if you will. Yeah.
Well, let's learn a little bit about your background and your Hill experience, and then we'll jump into what you're up to now and how you were able to get together on this amazing project. Connor, when you came to Hill, where were you from?
I was from Rehoboth Beach / Lewis, Delaware.
Ah,
yeah.
We have quite a few. Right now, we have a big contingent of Rehoboth and Delaware families. You may know the Moores from Rehoboth Beach.
Chad Moore. I know Chad Moore.
Chad's an alumnus, and he has four kids that have come to Hill now, and his youngest is a third former, but he's been recruiting like crazy from Rehoboth Beach. Nice. So you were a boarder? You were a boarder for how many years?
3 years. Yeah, I came in my fourth form year.
Got it.
Yeah.
And Allie, you were a 4-year student here, 2 years as a day student, 2 years as a boarder. Pretty local, right?
Yes. So from Collegeville, which is about 15 minutes away, my parents and our 11-year-old yellow lab still live there. So I'm excited now to be back living in Philly full time and getting to see them a lot more. So
your 11-year-old yellow lab came along when you were a fifth former.
She did, yes. And it was funny because it was right when I started living at Hill, but luckily I was still nearby. And so I was able to bond with her. And now 11 years later, we still think she's the best dog we ever got.
I'm sure she is. She's known as the best dog that there's ever been. A lot of dogs on campus here at the Hill these days. So for our students who are missing their dogs at home, they get a chance to play with dogs. So here's a big question. How were you guys friendly when you were students, or did you run in different circles?
It's weird. Like, I think at Hill there, you kind of have, yeah, we were friendly. We were definitely friendly. We ran in the same circles, I'd say, for the most part. What's that?
It's hard to say friend.
Yeah, no, yeah, we were more than friendly. Yeah. But
wait, more than friendly?
No, just friends. Wow, I'm already screwing this up, guys. There's 43 people here that I'm making a fool of myself in front of.
No, you're doing just fine. So you were friends. You had different interests, but it is a tight-knit community. In the sixth form, you were there together for 3 years. Did you ever talk about someday working together or have shared interests in terms of long-term careers, or where you ended up going to school and that sort of thing?
I don't think at the time we talked about, rekindling a working relationship once we hit our professions, but it was interesting how I know that we had some questions lined up, but I don't want to skip ahead. But it was, I'd seen that Allie was doing some awesome stuff with Athena Club, and I reached back out, and that's kind of how we started to get back in touch.
So the working relationship didn't happen until later.
Yes, but it was very easy to kind of jump back into it. And now it's really fun to talk all the time. And so I'm doing Main and Co with my older brother, and now Scott all the time. She's like, Connor's so great. We're very lucky to have Connor, and we definitely feel that way. And I think that's what goes back to Hill, is the variety of things that you can be interested in, from the arts to now there is the entrepreneurship class and all of these options. It was really cool for both of us to find our passions post Hill and then team up for this to bring them together.
Did either of you have any entrepreneurial activities while you were at Hill? Sometimes our students start businesses here, both sort of above board and sometimes behind the scenes.
Sure. Yeah, actually, I started Hill TV, which I understand is still around. Yeah. So that was an awesome opportunity. That kind of kickstarted my real interest in both the film production side of things and also entrepreneurship. So definitely got the chance to do that at Hill.
How about you, Allie? Anything exciting business-wise?
I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on this sort of thing.
Oh, wait, did you make the Underground t-shirt?
An underground newspaper.
Oh, what was it called?
The Fishbowl.
Yes.
This was a very, very long time ago. And we did kind of satire pieces. Oh. And we were so nervous about misusing resources for our underground newspapers that one of our parents would pick us up and we'd print it out at our house and bring it back in. And we thought we were so rebellious. It was all very above board content, but it was a lot of fun.
How long did the Fishbowl last at Hill?
It was a few months.
Say that again?
A few months.
A few months. So during your sixth form year?
Yeah.
You risked it all in your sixth form?
And we had a lot of fun along the way. Actually, one of my friends found one of our old copies the other day, and we enjoyed rereading it.
Well, you should send it into the archives. Mr. Jeffries would love to see that. How many issues did you print?
I feel like we did like 5.
Wow.
I remember looking forward to it.
Yeah, we would distribute it early in the morning. At the appropriate time, we would get out and put it in the student center and distribute, and then we'd wait around and see what the chit chat was about it.
So you try very hard not to break any additional rules, like leaving it early.
We are very careful about that.
Connor, is this the first you're hearing of this?
No, I remember it clearly. Yeah, Allie, you're ahead of your time. It's like the inspiration behind what's the new Shonda Rhimes show?
Bridgerton?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
so
very
good. Oh, yeah.
I watch everything.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember the Fishbowl. That was awesome.
But you didn't know that Allie was the co-editor.
I don't think I did know that.
I think we were the last people that were expected to be doing it, because it was my group of girlfriends and we were very by the book. So
I love that. That's awesome. I thought you were going to say that you did the Underground Elville t-shirt, which is a long-standing tradition at the Hill, which we've now outlawed. We're really mean now. It's out there still.
My favorite Elville t-shirt was the one that used math to spell out Elville.
Yeah. Yes.
So that
was a Dollhoff favorite, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was a classic. I think I still have that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've dug deep enough. We've brought out enough incriminating evidence here, full photos.
Yeah, this stays among the 48 people here.
So let's fast forward here to, several years later, you guys go to college and you get some jobs, some real jobs in the corporate world. And at some point you decide that that's not exactly what you want to do and you want to break out on your own and do some of your own things. So Connor, let's start first with you. What inspired you to, do your own thing?
Sure. Yeah. So after college, I started out at a video post-production company, and video effects studio in Boston. I was there for about a year and got laid off, so not all smooth sailing, but quickly bounced back and became an assistant editor at another video post-production company. And I was there for a few years. And it's actually where I first met my current co-founder. She was actually my boss, but also I did a lot of design work on the side and freelance. So quickly became kind of this jack of many trades, creative freelancer, if you will. And it was around that time that I reached back out to Allie after seeing all the cool work that she was doing with Athena Club at the time. That was pre-Main & Co. But I left my full-time job in 2019. And as you had introduced, I went full-time on my startup with my team. And it was mostly just because I had hit so many bottlenecks over and over again with the creative process. It's, notoriously subjective and hard to manage these types of creative workflows. So I set out to solve that with tech. So just kind of took the leap, and that said, I started to work with Allie as well, and this around the same time on Main & Co.
How scary was that moment where you turned down a regular paycheck to go start your own thing, and what kind of investment, if any, did you have to do that?
Super scary, zero investment, tons of student loans. So, lots of hustling and some grit and some help along the way. But yeah, it's super scary, but if you really believe in something, it makes it worth it.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, Allie. So you left the corporate consulting world, right? You sort of did the same thing. You went out on your own, or were you moonlighting? Were you doing one at the same time, or did you cut the cord and go out for the Athena Club?
So I left McKinsey full stop, but it was a really nice setup. I think I'm actually a pretty risk averse person generally, but the great thing
other than the Fishbowl, right?
Yeah. Other than that, and that was a calculated risk too. But the great thing with consulting and McKinsey in particular is you always have an offer to return. And so I knew that there was a career that I liked and that I had learned so much about a lot of different industries. And I thought I haven't really done anything totally crazy in my work life yet. I interned at McKinsey and I was there for several years, really enjoyed it, got to do some international travel. Actually was the chief of staff to our CEO for a year, which was really interesting, but I felt like I wanted to go from this very big developed company to starting something completely from the ground up. And I think that's what pushed me to take the leap. So it was a friend of mine from McKinsey and then her boyfriend, and we started Athena Club together. We all left our full-time jobs. She was at McKinsey, he was at Goldman, and we kind of jumped in.
There are a lot of paychecks left on the table.
Yeah, yes, it was. And in New York, it's not an easy place to to do that, but we had a lot of fun. I still have some really great memories from our very first office in WeWork, and then graduating to a slightly bigger office the day we got our first employee, and then all of the craziness that goes along with a startup and the adventures we had along the way. So that was a really interesting step, and I think it definitely gave me the bug for startups, and especially early stage.
So before we leave McKinsey, some of our listeners may know of, the lore of McKinsey, which is, a great international consulting firm. What was the crazy McKinsey interview question when you interviewed for the first time? Do you remember? They're famous for that, like, make you see how well you think, your critical skills.
Yeah. So my case was actually about vaccine distribution, which is really interesting and relevant now, especially as McKinsey is involved in a lot of the current vaccine work and has been in the past. So that was we went through a whole case of that, which was really interesting. And then actually the funniest part of my interview was, it was the senior partner who was the head of the Philadelphia office who was doing the interview. And then as I was leaving, he takes a look at my resume and he said, "Oh, you went to Hill." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How did you like it?" And I said, "Yeah, it was really interesting. I learned a lot. I think it was a great foundation." He said, "So I have some kids going into high school age, just curious, doing the rounds." And I was like, I hope that's a good sign that he felt comfortable enough to ask me that, and not just like get out the door and let's get some information out of you before you go.
Well, I hope you got right on the phone with Mr. Eccleston and made sure that they got in. Right? Yeah. Always a good plug for a new job. Okay, so McKinsey's an interesting place, right? Because you're working on a lot of different projects, whereas Connor was really focused on creative and film and video and all of that. But you're assigned to different projects for months on end, right? And you're maybe flying out and living in a hotel and learning a whole new industry and then moving on to another whole new industry. Is that the experience you had there for a few years?
Absolutely. And I think consulting is one of the best things to do right out of undergrad, because you just get to test out so many different industries and styles and cultures, and even how you work with different people. And I got to do the most random but amazing things. I went to New Zealand for 4 months to consult a dairy cooperative. And when I was over there, I got to do Tahiti, Fiji, the Cook Islands, and really explore. And then I did an aluminum smelting company, and I got very deep into the whole process, and we were trying to increase the energy.
Melting. You're doing it all.
Efficiency of that. I did a beer company, which was incredibly fun. I think that was what gave me kind of the first spark that I wanted to do something in the beverage space, because it's just so experiential. Yeah. Like I saw how much these different brands and products would bring people together, and the different occasions that it could really be kind of the center point to create the memories that people will have for a really long time. And so I think that's what first got me hooked on brands and beverage in particular.
So Connor, you said your idea sort of, it was in the same field, right? But it came out of a bit of frustration. That you moved into the tech side so that you could solve these problems in the field you were in. Allie, clearly there was that spark from the beer company, and I guess the milk company is another beverage, right? The milk dairy co-op. But your first company had nothing to do with that, right? It was just a brand. But was there something along the way where you noticed the need, and you noticed, for Athena that got you started in that regard?
Mm-hmm. So we had been noticing a lot of business model innovations in the body care space, with subscription especially becoming bigger and bigger. And when you think about body care products that you use on a regular basis, it adds so much value to kind of not have to think about it on a monthly basis and have it delivered straight to your door. But my friend Maria and I noticed that so many of these were coming out for men, but there was a pretty big gap for women. So you had Dollar Shave Club, you have Harry's, and then you have a few women's startups coming out in the subscription space, but they're really expensive. And so we started digging into the supply chain and realized that they really didn't need to be that expensive, and we could create a really good and safe quality product. We started in feminine care and have it delivered to your door for not more than you'd pay at CVS. Oh. And so once we sort of unpacked that, and it's something that we felt really strongly is making this product accessible to more women than ever before, because there's really no need to have to use unsafe products. And actually, a lot of the big brands aren't required to disclose what chemicals and ingredients are in them, which is ridiculous that that's the regulation, but it is. And so we wanted to have more transparency in the supply chain and in the product, and to really create an experience that was positive end to end for women in something that's normally a really frustrating process to go through.
That's amazing. Here's my question. How many times did you almost pick the phone up and call McKinsey and say, I'd like to come back? Like, how many times were there these moments where it was like, we can't?
Yeah, I think I felt that a lot, because McKinsey has every resource that you could imagine, from legal to expertise to supply chain. And so there's one point where
business class airline tickets, right?
Yeah. I certainly missed the perks. My status was dropping. That was a sad time. And I remember I had to go through and individually register us for state sales tax in all 50 states.
Oh, yes.
And it is the most boring and slow and just mind-numbing process. And so I was like, I just wish that there was somebody that could do it for me. But at the end of the day, I learned a lot about it. And then I actually went on and I was able to advise other friends doing startups, like there's a better way to do this. There's a faster way. You actually don't need to register for sales tax until you have economic nexus. And so I think being so in the weeds in the beginning, I really now look back on and value, because you really understand the business and you understand your customer, because for so long we were answering customer service emails. I was doing the accounting, the taxes. We were on the phone every day with our factories trying to get that all settled. And I think seeing it end to end like that and having a physical product at the end of the day that you can say, and if I watched every part of this come to life, is what made me fall in love with startups, and especially consumer startups, and want to do it again.
So I want to ask Connor. So you sort of tuned in to what Allie was doing. You were following along, and she was creating this brand. And I don't know exactly, Allie, like how you created the brand and did the creative at that time, but you weren't working with Connor at that point. So what, as you started a new business and you started Main & Company, what made you decide that you needed to reach out to Connor? Or Connor, why did you reach out to Allie and ask to work on that next project?
So actually for Athena Club, I reached out kind of for two reasons. One, because what she was doing was awesome. Wanted to congratulate her, and catch up. And then the other was, I thought I maybe could help on the creative side. I thought it was a really awesome brand, had an awesome foundation, was doing really cool things. And I actually started to test some of the early model of what now is Coworkly with Allie at Athena. So that foundation actually was set then. And then obviously I came to mind when she started work on Main & Co.
Got it. So it was really an entrepreneurial opportunity for both of you. And Allie, other than the Fishbowl, which I assume was really well designed, you didn't have a lot of experience with design work, right? You were, as a consultant, you were doing more the supply chain and management and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Main & Co, we were building the brand from start. And when Connor came in at Athena Club, we already had a designer and we had the foundation of a brand, but it was really fun for us to be able to brainstorm together. And I think what Connor brought, which was amazing, was the scope, because he has both the structure and the business side, but then also is an amazing designer. And so he was able to say, here's what I think you need to do this, and to explain every piece to me. I remember the first can iteration Connor did, he explained like, okay, the eye will go from left to right here, and like you really want to call to attention these words in particular. And so I think that combination of really understanding the content behind it, but applying a beautiful branding on top of that was so helpful for us. And I think
but I guess I did do it, yeah.
So now we would trust no one but Connor to be our creative director.
So Connor, you joined with Main & Company and Allie right from the get-go when that idea was coming to life, right? So you had been working a little bit on Athena Club, and then you do this right from the start. So you guys have been working together on Main & Company since day one?
I'm not sure about day one. I know that they had really been thinking behind what the brand was supposed to mean, and the vision and all of those things. So I wouldn't say day one. I wasn't at the genesis of it, but I know that when they started to realize that they wanted to kind of feed that into a look, feel, an actual brand, I started to join.
So Allie, why mimosas? Like what was the opportunity there? How did you come to that conclusion that was you wanted to spend the next chapter of your life working on?
So it came from really wanting to do something with my brothers. So we came from a family business that my grandmother had started in home healthcare, and always loved the idea of working together on something. So then when I was building Athena Club, and it was really meaningful to me in so many different ways, but I still kind of yearned for that family aspect of it after watching that in my family for so long. And my brother brews craft beer. That's his passion in life and what makes him the happiest. And I thought, what's a really cool combination of our two interests? I love champagne. I also love D2C and finding interesting ways to build a brand, and he can do all the formulation side. And so for that, it was a really fun way for us to combine our very different skill sets in a symbiotic way.
Just by chance, did your brother go to Hill as well?
He did not. He didn't. No, he went to Malvern, so nearby, but not Hill.
No worries there. And so what's the trickiest part of this brand, Connor, in terms of selling this brand? You know, the sort of craft beverage field is pretty crowded, I would imagine, and there's lots of new products and startups, and you've got some very large companies involved that probably own all the shelf space and have unlimited resources to push out the little guys. What have you done, and how have you been able to elevate the brand with your creative work?
Yeah, I mean, creatively, there's lots of work to be done on how Allie, brings that brand to the world. So, but as far as aesthetically and creatively, I know from the very start that family, that the genesis of this was out of family and friends, bringing that personal element into the fold. So making sure that the creative was artistic and sophisticated, but also personal and a bit playful and authentic, I think is a little bit of a different spin for a canned beverage. And bringing in some custom art and some interesting gold foil touches, and just the details, I think really come through.
So how's it going? Like, you've been at it for a little while now. It's been an interesting time to be in a startup, right? You're in the middle of a global pandemic. I'm not sure if alcohol consumption is up or down. Probably up.
It's up. Yeah.
I once met someone in the alcohol industry who said that business is, when the economy is good, business is good. When the economy is bad, business is great. Has that held true? When there's a pandemic, alcohol sales go through the roof?
Yes, and I think especially with COVID, with so many people in their homes, delivery alcohol has gone up significantly, 300 to 400% of what it used to be. And I actually think that will have meaningful consumer behavioral changes. And that delivery alcohol can seem a little intimidating at first. You have to be there to sign for it. It's kind of a process. And if you're working all day, you don't know if you'll be able to meet FedEx or UPS. And if you miss it, it's frustrating. But now people are trying it, they're at home, so it's no problem to receive it. And I think they're realizing that they have so much more optionality than just going to fine wine and good spirits. And for us in particular, like you mentioned, shelf space is crowded. As a new brand, D2C gives you a way to connect with customers and to build traction before you then go and pitch to a distributor. And so you have a bit of a running head start before you have to fight AB for the shelf space. And so I think that's what's really cool about direct to consumer. And the laws have been changing pretty rapidly. So 5 years ago, you really couldn't ship wine to people's door without a lot of hassle. And now it's just a little bit of hassle, which is nice. In 42 states, you can now ship alcohol. So I think there have been a few trends that have led to the rise of D2C wine, of canned cocktails. And I think it'll be really interesting to see in the next few years where it goes, because for us, we really wanted to put a high-end wine in a can, which has not been done that much before. So we're definitely fighting some of the biases of people associating canned drinks with lower quality. But I think that's where Connor's creative touches, like the gold foil and having kind of the hand-painted artwork, really elevates the brand in a way that communicates the quality, because that is something that we really started from the beginning. We wanted to work with this cooperative of small farmers in Italy that's sustainably grown wine. It's organic orange juice. And so it's very different from seltzers in particular and other canned cocktails on the market that have very different alcohol contents, and the wine is not the star. But for us, we wanted a really good wine that shone through.
Well, one of the things that we've done, Connor, but one of the things we've done with alumni events recently is we've actually shipped cocktails to our alumni for a Zoom event. So we're going to have to use Main and Company for the next big alumni Zoom. That'll be a fun mimosa event. Maybe we're already doing it, and I just don't know. But I agree with you. I think that our consumer patterns have changed, and even when things go back to quote normal, we've all experienced this new convenience of curbside shopping and having things sent to our homes and the like. So sorry, Connor, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, like on that point, actually, at the same time, people during this pandemic are realizing how important authentic brands and authenticity is, and they really need that. They crave that connection. So creating brands that bring that into the fold is a great way to connect with the end consumer. And then the alcohol market in general is booming. Cue Uber's acquisition of Drizzly today or yesterday.
Pretty crazy. $1.1 billion.
Yep.
In 2017, they were valued at $73 million. So
it's insane.
Just goes to show
I know.
Be ready, Allie.
Yeah. If AB wants to, they can have it in a few years.
I know someone who was an early employee at Drizzly, so he's probably making out well today.
That's awesome.
I want to turn it over to our audience here in just a moment. So I just want to remind them that if you're interested, now would be a great time to type a question in the Q&A box, which hopefully we all know how to use at this point. And I'll read those questions. But if you're really brave, or Connor or Allie and want to heckle a little bit, raise your hand. I'm hoping there's some of your classmates here, and I will allow you to speak. And if you want, we can turn on your video and do all of that. So while you're thinking of your questions or adding them in the Q&A box, and I will need at least one or two brave souls to do that. I want to ask a last question here, which is, what about your Hill experience prepared you for what you're doing now? And what things that you learned at Hill do you use every day? What were those meaningful aspects of the Hill experience? So Connor, you start first.
I start. Okay. Yeah, I think that, there was plenty of discipline and structure at Hill, which of course you have to create for yourself out in the real world. But at the same time, at least when we were at Hill, I think that nothing was really handed to you. Like there was lots of opportunity, but you had to earn it. And I think that's a lot like life, pursuing professional goals in general. So I think that's definitely kind of the foundation that I had. As far as things that I think of daily, I mean, as more recently, I've been trying to make use of the Hill family a bit more and the Hill connection. So I think that's something that I will be using at least pretty frequently moving forward.
Well, Connor, I was going to tease you a little bit and say we have an early clip from Hill TV that we're going to show now, but I don't have that, but we'll see if we can dig that up.
I was about to say, I think I controlled the YouTube for a little while, so I might have archived those.
We'll have a look at that. I don't know if you've seen, we have a brand new TV studio now, the John Silverstein TV studio, which is amazing. So you got to come check it out. It's in our new center. So
I'd love to check it out.
We'll get you to produce something, maybe like a video version of the Fishbowl. Allie, same question to you.
So I took humanities, which I absolutely loved. And I think having that foundation of connecting art and music and literature and Greek and Latin roots was really helpful for me as I started preparing for consulting interviews, because so much of it is reacting to new information and being able to connect the dots. And then as I started at McKinsey, I always looked back to Dr. Bender in that humanities class as the time that I I really honed my critical thinking skills and kind of expanded beyond just linear thinking and tied in a lot of different disciplines in one class. And so that was definitely my favorite class at Hill. I loved walking up the staircase and the turret of the library, and Dr. Bender was absolutely my favorite teacher too. So that was a great experience that I think has benefited me for a long time. And then the second is I played hockey at Hill, as you mentioned, and now I'm on the Wharton Wildman hockey team. And so I'm very grateful that we had a rink and that we were able to practice every day, because I definitely have some street cred now for knowing how to play hockey.
Well, so in a moment of this is your life, I was just looking through the participant list. I was hoping that Dr. Bender was on the list. We just heard from him the day before. He's not, unfortunately, but we'll get him on. And we have a clip here of you playing ice hockey at Hill. So I'm going to show that now.
Again, nobody needs to see that.
Well, actually, I don't know if any of them are on tonight, but we have 22 girls ice hockey players here on campus for the winter low residency program. And when I came to Hill, our girls ice hockey team, our first year, we had 3 games total. I think last year they had 32 games. So the program has changed a lot, but I think the values are still there. So we've updated the Levis Alexan Humanities Center. And now we have 3, actually it's grown in size, and we have 3 faculty members who are teaching in that space: Dr. Malone, Dr. Pearson, and Dr. Lake. So the tradition continues, and Dr. Bender still leads our humanities trip every spring to Italy and Greece, and not last year, but we tried.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have some questions. You ready?
We're ready.
All right. So I think this question goes first to you, Allie. Christine would like to know, is the product on the market, and where can you purchase it? That's a softball question for you, Allie.
Yes, we'll take that one. So through our website right now, we're shipping to 42 states. Pennsylvania is one of them. So it's Maine, MAYNE, SIP.com. So you can check out, I'll put it in the chat too. So you can purchase it there. And then we're actually now in talks with some Philly country clubs and stores like DeBruno Bros to have retail available in the Philadelphia area, which will be exciting.
And how did the name Maine, where does that come from? Oh, there you go.
There's the product.
Yes, there it is.
Ships to Massachusetts, if anyone is on the call is.
Oh, that's good. What, can you name the 8 states? Are you going to open it? Good. What can you name the 8 states that don't? What are the 8 states?
So it's Kentucky, Illinois, both Dakotas, which is interesting, Alaska, Hawaii, and I think Indiana is the last one.
Okay.
The only one we're upset about is Kentucky, because we have a lot of family friends there. And as of now, no go for that. But
I could have helped
as I said,
a while
laws
ago.
are
I
changing
knew the former governor of Kentucky. It's not very popular, but I knew him. But I can't help you with the new governor.
Yes, and now we have our mimosas and macaroons Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Gift boxes available.
Okay, so mainsip.com.
Yeah, here, I'll put it in the chat.
The chat's not activated. So.
Oh, okay. Then I will not.
Mainsip.com. Okay, so next question, and this goes to you, Connor. What were some of the leadership opportunities that you received or held at Hill?
Well, there was the Hill TV thing, which I think was an awesome opportunity. There was no interest from the very beginning, but I think with the right faculty advisors, was able to pitch it to the board of trustees, and the rest is history. Got some funding, which is like the first kind of. It's funny to look back at that experience, because we're right now in a seed round of fundraising. It was definitely a leadership opportunity. I think. It's awesome.
Do you remember how much funding you got?
I know that I spent more of Hill's money than I paid to go to Hill, because I got some nice funding. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I forget the exact amount though, but it was enough to kind of get things bootstrapped and going, which was awesome. So I think that was one thing. It was a part of Dream Team magazine, or the Dream Team, and we had the magazine back then. I don't know if it still exists.
Dream team was like student activities.
Yep. Yeah. The student activities team. It's awesome that there's an entrepreneurship class and course now. I had no idea actually. So that's amazing. But yeah, like I said, I think there are lots of opportunities if because there's such a strong relationship with faculty and advisors, there's lots of opportunities to kind of throw ideas out there and see what sticks and try to make, make your own opportunities, if you will.
Allie, how about you? What leadership opportunities were you most involved with?
So very involved with the soccer team, which was a lot of fun. And I think the journey with Mr. Walbridge for 4 years was an amazing one, starting as a very scared 13-year-old trying to figure it all out. And then my sixth form year winning the Maple Championship for the first time and seeing all of that come to fruition was pretty amazing. And I think sports, and especially the way Hill does them, are such a community. And I think that was some of my best friends still to this day. I met on the soccer team, and I think that was one of my favorite activities to do, for sure.
Did you beat Elville?
We did, and I got to ring the bell, which was a lot of fun, and carry the torch that we set with the bonfire. Right. That was one of my favorite memories.
Well,
I did forget, actually, I was also manager of girls varsity field hockey.
Oh.
Which was actually really fun. And, I got to, warm up the goalie, who's Gabby Churchill. I don't think she's on, but it was, even a theater kid got his hands in sports, which was awesome.
And you must've been in a bunch of shows, right, Connor? Or were you on the tech side?
Mm-hmm. I was in Into the Woods and Beauty and the Beast.
So we're actually doing Into the Woods this spring.
Really?
But we're doing it in the woods due to COVID.
That's amazing.
We are doing it outdoors. You probably haven't met our new director of the CFTA, Mr. McGriff. He is as entrepreneurial as they come when it comes to theater, and he has figured out a way to do it outdoors and have audience, and let's just hope it doesn't happen. Yeah, so it'll really be in the woods. Pretty cool. All right, great answer. Cool. All right, next question. What advice do you have for incoming, this person clearly hasn't been at Hill, incoming freshmen, so incoming third formers, what advice do you have for students in their Hill career? Allie, why don't you start, and then Connor can take it from there.
I would say start by trying out a lot of different things and don't feel like you have to overplan. If I had tried to map out my life as a 13-year-old, I would have had no idea where to start because you don't know what twists and turns it's all going to take. I remember coming out of Hill after humanities, I was so determined to study the classics at UVA, and I got there and I took a few classes, and then I took an accounting class just because I thought it'd be interesting, and I fell in love with it. And I think that's when I decided to join the business school at UVA and ultimately get into consulting. So I think there aren't
many people that fall in love with accounting classes.
I had a very cool accounting professor. She was like 60 years old and wore these pantsuits and had a really cool bob and knew accounting forwards and backwards. And I thought she was amazing. I wanted to be an accountant for a brief time, but thank goodness I found consulting. But I think I felt like I'd have it all figured out at Hill, and there's just so much value to trying things that make you a little bit uncomfortable and exploring, and then you might be surprised with what you end up liking and the twists that your life takes along the way.
That's awesome. Connor, how about you? What advice for a new student coming to Hill?
Yeah, I think, just maybe, I don't know, I was actually really surprised how easy it was to make connections to faculty and advisors. So I think finding those people that can help you kind of bring out, those interests that you can pursue at Hill. I immediately got along with Alex Washington. He was kind of my foray into everything video production. So that was kind of my start to everything. So, and I got along really well with Dan Bettendorf, who lives in Boston now, and I see occasionally, not so much with COVID, but so I think there are lots of opportunities just to make really strong connections with faculty and advisors. And and I also second what Allie said. I think that goes for college as well.
Well, Awash will appreciate the shout out that he got on this show. He was on one of our webcasts this summer, and it's great to hear.
Oh, nice.
As well. All right, I'm not sure that this question, you guys can answer it as of today, but it'd be interesting to hear a historical response. Are the dorms hectic in the mornings? I'm not sure where that question is coming from. Probably from a prospective family, but
Sure.
You guys remember any good dorm mornings or just dorm antics? Where did you live, first of all? What dorms?
So I was Rolf, which looked over the soccer field, which was so fun. And I feel like it was hectic in the mornings because I'm just not a morning person. But my favorite was this is the best part about switching from a day student to a boarder, is being able to take a nap during your free periods because you're right there. So that was one of my favorite transitions because I love to sleep and would sneak in a few 5 or 10 minute naps here or there when I could.
That's great. Connor, what dorm did you live in?
So I lived in Upper School and Wendell. And I think it totally depends on the dynamic of the hall. To be honest, I know my Wendell dorm was way crazier than my Upper School dorms. But it also is nice because different schedules allow for, some days there might be really long lines for the showers, and then sometimes there aren't, and that's just the way it goes. It's kind of like college in that way as well.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure what it is about Wendell, but I think Wendell is always a little bit crazier than Upper School. I'm not sure how those, those characteristics come along. As far as showers go, it's interesting. This year, showers are scheduled because of COVID. So you may have an odd time for a shower during the morning or in the afternoon or whatever. So
interesting.
Well, that was the last question in our Q&A box, but we've got to have someone on the call here who wants to hear from Allie and Connor and raise their hand. We can look through Connor, do you see anyone on that list that one of your, oh, there we go. We got a hand up. Oh, it went down. Put the hand back up. Who put their hand up?
I see a few, but as we say that, they're gonna start to drop off real quick.
Why don't we call? Is there a classmate or a faculty member on here that you want to call on? That's always fun too.
Sorry, I need my glasses. I don't want to call anyone out. I know a few people did reach out and say that they had to leave early, but that they wanted to say hi.
All right. Well, we just got a question in here. What are some of the best resources that you have received from Hill alumni? So connections and resources other than each other here, because you're clearly working with each other. But what are some of the connections and Hill ties that we're so well known for that you've been able to leverage?
So one more recent one for me is I actually interned in the alumni office for 2 years, which I enjoyed very much, and reached out to see if we had any alumni in the hotel or airline industry, as we're about to start pitching mimosas for amenities in those industries. And I got a list of about 30 people, which is way more than I expected, and wonderful to see. So excited to dive into that.
You just got it?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Any interesting, well, we have some good hotel connections on the list. I know that. I don't know about airlines. Airlines are interesting. We did have, I don't know if you know this, but the founder of Pan Am went to Hill.
Really?
One trip. He's not alive anymore. He can't help you. Connor, how about you? Other than all the money you got as a student to start up Hill TV, what other resources you mentioned before that you've been, getting involved with the Hill family?
Yeah. I've recently reached out to a few alumni in the tech space and the investor VC angel investing space, just to kind of, field connections, see, peak interest, get their advice. So that's been really cool. I think, networking is definitely key. It's what makes Hill so special. Like seeing someone, there's so many times in Boston where, you know, someone's running down the street and they have a hill, they're running with their hill shirt on, and like we stop, you know, we stop. Like, whereas BU, one, you're in Boston, so anyone could be at BU, but two, like it's so huge. The Hill families, I feel like, you know, you get on a Zoom call with someone you've never met before, but they went to Hill and it's an immediate connection. And I've had that experience several times over the last couple months.
Yeah. Well, what about, you know, I guess what advice do you want to share with our students, our current students, not new students, but current students in terms of if they want to become an entrepreneur, what do you think is the most important thing that they can do?
I think it's really good, and maybe this is biased by my own journey, but I think it's really good to work somewhere else first, just to get a sense of how big companies operate. And this is actually the advice that my dad gave me. He said, work somewhere really big and then work somewhere very small and then start something yourself. And I think having the experience of seeing really amazing leaders who are older than you start and run teams and companies and getting to observe for a little bit and learn from the best, then makes it a lot easier when you have to figure out things on your own, because you at least have examples to look to.
That's great advice.
Totally. Yeah. Mine would be, well, two things. As long as you've done the work, don't let imposter syndrome stand in your way. Everyone has it all the time. So just don't let it stand in your way, stop you from doing things. And two would be, to Allie's point, fill your team with people who have experience that you don't have, or have personality traits that, you know, balance you out. One of my co-founders is like the guy who pokes holes in everything, and I'm the eternal optimist. So it's a nice balance there. And then my other co-founder is in her 40s with tons of agency experience. So she brings experience that I don't have. So I think that that's really important, is to defer to other people who have things you don't have.
Well, we can't end on a better note than that, except for the fact that someone just raised their hand. So we got to go to that. That's always the fun part. So let's do that. Harry, I'm going to allow you to talk. Harry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Mr. Lehman. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Harry, where are you calling from?
Chester Springs. It's about 25 minutes from
Sure.
here.
That's great.
Yeah. I just have a quick question for Allie, if that's okay. Yeah, so please. My son is applying to Hill, and he plays hockey. And I think, Allie, you mentioned you played hockey before. Can I ask which position did you play?
Yes, I played defense.
All right.
And great. I actually played club hockey at UVA too. And the goalie was one of my best friends, which is a fun thing to have as defender, because I would let nobody get near her on the ice. I'd steamroll them all out in front of the net.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Allie. Yeah, I actually, you know, played soccer when I was growing up. But you know, my son loves hockey for whatever reason. I'm actually in the parking lot in front of ice line because my son has a hockey practice in this kind of weather, you know, so, but it's all good.
That sounds
Thank
like
you,
hockey.
Exactly.
A lot of early mornings and long drives there.
Harry, we're glad that you were able to pass the time by listening to the webcast.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Well, that reminds me, Allie, we were going to ask about the polo. Your bio said you played polo at UVA. So give us 30 seconds on that.
So very, very fun. I rode horses growing up, and then UVA is in horse country and has a pretty amazing polo facility about 10 minutes from the campus that was all donated by an alumni. And I found it actually has some similarities to hockey, where it's a very fast pace. You have 5 players and the horses love it. And they get feisty, and you're going really fast and trying to stand up and hit the ball while you're doing a million different things at once. And so that was one of my favorite UVA experiences. And there's actually a boot camp in Argentina that I was trying to do pre-COVID, where you go for 2 weeks and you play, and then they make fresh asados every night. So that is my post-COVID travel plan to finally get out there.
That's cool. We have a board member, Jeff Richards, who's a big polo player down in Florida. One of the down in Wellington there. They have a lot of polo down there. Well, all right. Well, this has been a great time with you both. I have a lot of ideas coming out of this. Connor, we've got to get you back to help out in our new video studio and with some of our branding work. And Allie, we're going to put Main & Company to work in some of our alumni events, both our virtual events and in person, which we hope to bring back. So, and just great. We and definitely want to get you both back to speak to our entrepreneurship class. I know that Twyla Fisher will want to get you there. I'm being asked by one of our students from the Hill News if you guys would pose for a picture right now. So give it your best smile, and hopefully they'll do a bit of a picture here. So there you go. So and then we have to pose for the Fishbowl photographer. Who's shown up late. They stuck out of the dorm just like you did.
I should have put this up there for the picture, but
yeah, well, it is the Hill News. So So
and we will send you some mimosas for you to try out too.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate that. So just as we wrap up here, thanks to everyone for joining us and for sticking with us for the hour. We have some exciting episodes coming up. We're going to be joined on February 9th, a week from tonight. Our topic is changing the world for good, and we're being joined by two classmates that have teamed up, just like Allie and Connor, Tom Walter and Mike Barron from the class of 1987. We're going to hear about an organization that they've started. And then everyone's looking forward to February 16th, the Dougs, Doug Bucard and Doug Brody. There's another UVA graduate for you there, Allie, class of 02. Going to talk about investments, private equity and investment banking. And then we're going to have a really interesting chat with Megan Ruan on February 23rd. Megan is working on Capitol Hill for the rep from Pottstown, Madeline Dean, and she's going to talk about her role down there on Capitol Hill, especially interesting these days. And we're going to hear from her, so excited about that. Nicole Burns is going to join us from California, working at Google, doing some really interesting work there and helping the school in other ways also. And then we'll wrap up the series on March 9th, the night before acceptances go out. So hopefully our prospective students will be tuning in, and we'll hear from Pinckney Benedict, who's an author, and he'll talk a little bit about his experience as a writer and from the Hill. So we're really taking this opportunity to explore a bunch of different fields and alumni from different eras, and so it's terrific. So again, my sincere thanks to Allie and Connor for their great stories tonight. A great way to kick off the series, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Have a great night.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.